Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. I don't particularly like discussing these kind of adventures, but unfortunately I find myself in a situation where I'm expending quite a bit of time and effort on this problem, so I figured that I should talk about it. You guys know I had some internet issues. I was found somebody whose internet logon, so to speak, was Bob, and he was hopping onto my wireless service. Well, that was my fault because I was running it, well, one of the routers I was running without passwords, and that was to make it easy for piano student parents or siblings to hop right onto the internet should they so desire, right? Get some homework done or whatever. On Saturday, we corrected that situation. You cannot hop on my Wi-Fi unless, you're one of those super geeks or whatever who could decode passwords and so forth to hop on. And I'm sure there are some people out there, but generally speaking, your general public isn't just doing that to get on free Wi-Fi, right? You can jump on anybody's Wi-Fi anywhere to do that. So I figured I corrected my situation by going with passwords. So that was done on Saturday. The mail came late on Saturday, so we didn't check it until Sunday morning, at which time we found that my mailbox was attacked. And the question comes up immediately, was the mailbox attacked because I shut somebody down or because it just happened to be coincidence? So here is the mailbox, and if you take a quick look in here, you realize somebody put a firework. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if this is the second one. This is the one that didn't go off, and this is part of the one that did go off. But you can see debris and some charring and all. Anyway, the mailbox was full of mail. Well, not full, but there was mail in here. And the mail did get scorched on the outside a little bit. Nothing was destroyed, so to speak. I spoke to my postal worker, and he indicated that there was a whole pile of felonies committed. First of all, messing with a mailbox is a felony. Messing with U.S. mail is a felony. Explosive device, damaging federal government property is a felony. So anyway, he mentioned all that, and I just told him, hey, if anybody else has trouble with their mailbox, they're not the first. Unfortunately, he indicated that this is the only mailbox that was hit. There wasn't like every other mailbox hit or a bunch of mailboxes hit. After talking to him, I spoke to my two neighbors who have had problems with their mailboxes over the years and monitor their mailboxes with video cameras to hang on to the footage. Anyway, I was aware that there was something going on. I was sitting in the living room watching TV, and the window happened to be opened. And even though you can't quite see the house from the end of the driveway, if one's in the living room, one's aware of what's going on out by the road. And I did hear some fireworks, and I was aware that there was a car that kind of stopped in front of the house, and that occurred about 9:45 on Saturday night. Now the question I'm going to ask you guys, do you think it was anything to do with the internet, shutting down the opened access to the internet? My house is just under 500 feet from the road, and I'm also probably at least 1,000 feet from the neighbors' houses. Unless one had some kind of internet extender, I'm not quite sure that they'd be able to just hop onto the wireless internet. And with that, also, when we discovered that Bob was hanging out on the internet, we grabbed a couple of flashlights and went looking around, and immediately Bob hopped off the internet, and quite honestly, we didn't hear any sounds out by the street. We didn't see any car lights, we didn't hear any cars or anything like that. This is a pretty quiet neighborhood also at night. I mean, even now, you hear the wind. You hear some birds. But if a car were going by, you would notice that. You would hear it. As an example, here comes one now. Right? So we didn't hear any of that, and once again, Bob hops off and all. We've since, checked the property and kind of the neighbors surrounding property to see if anybody's like living in the bushes. There's some homeless guy, Bob, who has internet and internet extenders. We've also, it seems to turn on and off, so I'm not thinking somebody has a remote battery powered device that they turn on and off by remote control to hop on and off my internet. So I'm not quite sure how to explain the internet. The fireworks in the mailbox, I'm thinking to myself that that's a coincidence, and it was just some kids screwing around, or perhaps maybe even it was somebody I know, some person I know who just happened to get fireworks and said, oh, why don't we put one in Harvey's mailbox? That'll get a reaction from him. Basically, what I'm asking for is some advice. You guys kind of put me on the straight and narrow, telling me that from an internet point of view, I shouldn't just consider physical distance as a way of keeping people off my internet. And I took that advice, and very quickly, well, it took me a week, but I updated my my router so that it is now wireless. By the way, this junk, this is typical supermarket. Shoots flaming balls. See additional cautions. Launcher tube and box must be used in a launcher tube. This end up. I don't think this went off. I think this is still functional. I think whatever went off was part of that. And it doesn't look like it was anything too fancy. I mean, it looks like supermarket fireworks. It doesn't look like anything great. I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Bob is now off the internet, and unless he goes through some amazing things, he's not getting back on the wireless internet. I think I'm going to look at this mailbox as a kid prank, and I think I'm going to let it pass as that. I have my buddy Chuck hunts the property, so there are cameras that he regularly puts out there looking for, turkeys and deer, coyotes, wild dogs, stuff like that. So he has the cameras out regularly, particularly wherever there's a path. He has a tendency to put a camera. When we came out looking for Bob, this is old farm country, old farm fields. Trees all overgrew everything, but there's a lot of uncharted rock walls and barbed wire fences that have been knocked down, and the wire just hangs out along the ground like a tripwire. So even if you know this property well, I mean, even like the back of your hand, I wouldn't be sprinting through the property at night. I mean, one could catch one of those wires and, you know, go face over tea kettle and really do some pretty good damage to yourself. And even with that, I didn't hear anybody crashing through the woods. So I'm a little bit at a loss to explaining both the internet situation and explaining this. I'm hoping they're not related. So, coincidence, or should I be concerned? My wife really worries about this kind of stuff. I have a tendency to take preventative measures and, you know, be prepared should there be a real problem. The neighborhood watch is keeping an eye out. My neighbors are keeping an eye out. The cameras are keeping an eye out. You know, I think I've taken all the precautions I could take. Right. So we'll see. Anyway, any advice, let me know. Anybody who's been through this kind of stuff, let me know. Remember, feet down, heads up, and get out there and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.